teacher for 3 years before taking up the roads in 1997. After ordination in Taiwan, she went to Sri Lanka in 1998 to further her Buddhist studies. Venerable is a resident monk at Baoguan Fo Tang and presently conducts
Okay. Okay. Good afternoon to everyone. I'm very happy to be here, to meet up with you all, and to share Dharma with you all. So the topic for today's talk is non-self. Now, this doctrine of non-self is unique in Buddhism. While most religions and philosophies talk about a self, in Buddhism, the Buddha said that there is non-self. This teaching of non-self is not something that is invented by the Buddha. It is the truth. It is the characteristic of our existence. So, if we realize this characteristic, this truth, we will become enlightened. We will be liberated from all sufferings. After the Buddha's enlightenment, the Buddha gave his first discourse to his 5 ascetic friends, okay? The first discourse that the Buddha gave after his enlightenment was the Four Noble Truths. Do you all know? After hearing these 4 Noble Truths, his 5 ascetic friends attained the first stage of sainthood. Then the Buddha went on to talk on this, to give another discourse. The second discourse that the Buddha gave to these 5 ascetic friends, okay, were the teaching of non-self. And after the second discourse, all the 5 ascetic friends attained arahanthood. So that shows the profoundness of this teaching of non-self. Any one of us who can perceive this truth, who can realize this truth, will be able to attain enlightenment. Okay? So this non-self is very important. Huh? Now, what is non-self? To explain about non-self, first I have to explain to you all what is self. What does it mean by self? When we hear this word self, self would denote something that is real. When we say that there is a self, this self would mean that there is a real entity. And this is independent. And this is something, if something we call self, it must be real, existing independently, and it is unchanging. Then we say that there is a self, correct not? Am I right? Okay. So if something is always changing, can you say that there is a self? You cannot say that there's a self. What we have in mind, okay, about self is, this thing must be permanent. And it must be existing, permanently unchanging, correct? Then at least you can say that it is something. There is a self in this. Correct not? A very common misconception about self is soul. When we think about self, we will think about soul. Why we say that, why would we link our soul to self? Because most people, they will think that there is a soul in us. And this soul, according, many other religions would think that there's a soul in us. So even when this body dies, the soul will take rebirth. The soul will transmigrate to another body. Okay? So soul is being held by many religions as a self. Why? Because the soul, why soul is being held as a self? Because soul is seen as unchanging. It's always there. The essence of you is there. The essence of you will not change. Okay? So that is the definition of self. The definition of self will carry the meaning of permanence, unchanging. Okay, unchanging, real, and existing by itself independently. That means it cannot be broken down anymore. Can you break down soul? I mean, what are the common people understanding of soul is that it is really the essence that you cannot break down anymore. That's why they call it this. It is deemed as a self. Okay? Now, to illustrate, to make you understand, non-self, I will use this illustration. What is this? Pen, that's right. You call it a pen. Very good. Now, what is this? Huh? Huh? Shaft? An object. Okay, good. There is no name for it. You can't think of a name because it does not serve a purpose. What is this? Ink. What is this? Okay, because it does not serve the purpose. This one, it serves a purpose, so you still have a name for it. Now, just now you say that it is a pen. Now, is there a pen? Is there a pen? I can perform magic, huh? Where is the pen now? Where is the pen now? Nowhere. But a few seconds ago, you told me that it is a pen. Then where does the pen go? Okay. What is this? What is this? Ink? Just now, this you call a pen. Now it's nothing. Why? What is this? How can it be nothing? Now, so just now you said pen. Let me ask you, does pen exist? Does pen exist? It existed before I dismantle it to show you, correct? No? It is you who tell me that it is a pen. So now, when I assembled the parts in this way, this is a pen. But does pen really exist? Does pen really exist? Does pen really exist? It does not really exist. Pen exists. Now you can still call it a pen. You can use it as a pen. But does pen really exist? No. So the very critical point is really. Pen exists, dependent on conditions. When the parts are being assembled in this way, when there is a ink refill inside, if let's say I take out the ink refill I take out the ink refill, okay? And do you call it a pen? Do you call it a pen? No, because there's no ink refill. You cannot use it as a pen. Am I right not? You only call it as a pen when you can use it as a pen. Am I right not? Because of its function, we call it a pen. That's why you have no name for this. You have no name for this. But you have a name for this because there's a purpose for this. So that shows that, when all the parts are being assembled in this way, then you call it a pen. When it is lack of one part, you don't call it a pen. So for pen to exist, it depends on conditions. What are the conditions? It must have an ink refill. It must have all these parts. Then you call it a pen. Am I right? Am I right now? Lack of one item, when you cannot use it as a pen, will you still call it a pen? No. Is there a self in the pen? Is there a self in the pen? No. If there is a self in the pen, it cannot be broken down. It will exist independently by itself. And it will not change. That is a definition of self. But this, we can break it down, okay? And when it's broken down, when it is disassembled, you cannot find a pen. So does pen exist? Pen exists dependent on conditions. Can you follow me? You have to try to follow me closely, okay? So pen exists because only dependent on conditions. When the conditions are not there, pen does not exist. Do you understand? Okay? So when something does not exist independently, when it does not exist independently and unchangingly, then we cannot say that there is a self. We cannot say that it really exists. Okay? It does not really exist. It exists, its existence is based on conditions. So it does not really exist. So there's no self in pen. Okay? Now, how about this I? We always say that there is this I. Is there a self in I? Is there a self in I? Huh? No? Then who are you?
There is a perception of self.
There's a perception of self. Very good.
We're just made up of all those elements.
Okay, very good. What are we made up of? Atoms? What else? The atoms only be made up of your physical form.
And then the four elements.
And what are the four elements?
The heat,
Okay, very good. Earth, water, fire, and space. Okay. Now, so these four elements made up this is still the form. But how that the four elements are still with regards to the physical components, okay? But what made up of this I? Yes, there is physical and the mental components. The physical components, there is only one, that is the physical form. The mental components, there is feelings, perception, mental formations, and consciousness. Have you all learned about this, the 5 aggregates? Have you all learned about this? Okay, so actually what we call this I, if we try to break down this I can be broken down into 2 main categories. We can understand what we call I in 2 main categories. That of a form, a physical form, a physical aspect. The other one is in terms of a mental aspect. In terms of mental aspect, there are 4 components. okay, feeling, perception, mental formations, and consciousness, okay? So each one of us, what we call I, are none other than these 5 components. The physical form, all of us, we have a physical form. When you think of yourself, you will think about what appears in your mind when you think of yourself. The image of yourself will appear in your mind, am I right not? How you look like, how is your hairstyle, how is your appearance, how is your physical build, all this will appear in your mind, am I right not? So besides the physical form, we have the mental aspects, and there are 4 components. The first one is feeling. Okay, the second one is perception. The word perception meaning recognizing. That which helps us to recognize things and identify things, that is called perception. And then the mental formation. Mental formation are all the mental activities that goes on in our mind. That is mental formation. And the last one is consciousness. Consciousness does not only mean mental consciousness. Consciousness, with regards to our 6 senses, each sense has a consciousness. Eye, depending on eye, there's eye consciousness. Depending on ear, there's ear consciousness. Depending on nose, there's nose consciousness. Depending on tongue, there's tongue consciousness. Depending on the body, there is the body consciousness. Depending on mind, there's mind consciousness. So here the consciousness does not only refer to mental consciousness. All the senses have the sense consciousness. Do you understand? So that's why, so consciousness does not mean soul. In Buddhism, consciousness does not mean soul. Because consciousness is that arise dependent on the senses and the sense objects. Are you following me so far? So what we call I, what you call you, what you call you, and what you call you, what you call you are all none other than these 5 aggregates. All of us have these 5 aggregates. Aggregate of form, aggregates of feeling, aggregates of perception, aggregates of mental activities, all the mental formations, and aggregates of consciousness. Do you understand? But we have to give these 5 aggregates a name. So these 5 aggregates is called I. Otherwise, you will say that these 5 aggregates want to go for lunch. These 5 aggregates want to go home. These 5 aggregates is feeling tired, okay? Now, a simple way will be, I'm going for lunch. I'm going home. Right. So I is only a name, a convenient name that we give to these 5 aggregates. So each of us, each human being, we have these 5 aggregates. Understand? But is there a self in the form? Does your body change? Yes, our physical body is constantly changing. It's just that it's beyond what our eyes can perceive. Actually, like what you're saying, there are a lot of atoms and there are a lot of cells. They are constantly dying and regenerating, but we just don't see. Correct not? And so our body is constantly changing, but we don't see. So can you say that the self is in the body? No. Because this body always changes. When something always changes, can you say that there is a self? No. How about the mind? The mind, maybe you say that the self is in the mind. But our mind also constantly changes. Now you have this thought. Just now you have another thought. This morning you have some other thoughts. Correct? What is the feeling now? It is different from what the feelings that you have in the morning. And it's different from the feelings or emotions that you have yesterday. So our mind is constantly changing also. So can the mind be self? Can the mind be self? No, the mind cannot be self. So can you find a self in this body and mind? Can you find a self in this body and mind? No. So there is no essence or no entity inside this body and mind that is not changing. There is no such entity that is permanent, unchanging, okay, in this body or mind. Do you understand? Okay? Now, same for anything that you see. For example, a car. Okay, just now you saw what happened to the pen. Now, when I say car, what appears in your mind? What appears in your mind when I say car? The image of car appears in your mind, correct or not? Yes. Okay, yes. Why is it that you can arise this image in your mind? It's because of perception, of what you have perceived before, what you have seen before. Now, your perception helps you recognize and identify. So when I say car, the image of car appears in your mind. Now, the word car. Is there a self in the car? Does car really exist? Yes. Now you know. You know the secret. When you try to dismantle the car, you have the steering wheel. Okay, you have the glass panels, the windows, the glass panels. You have all the metal parts. You have the seats. You have the wheels. And that you get a car. Yeah, that's very good. But if you assemble the car in a different way, you may get a van. You agree with me? Yeah. When I say van, the image of van appears in your mind. And if you assemble the parts in another way, you may get a lorry. Do you agree with me? So, does car really exist? First, does car exist? Does car exist? Very good. Very smart. So, does car really exist? Does car really exist? No, it does not really exist. When something exists dependent on conditions, is there a self? No, there's no self. Okay, very good. Now, so this applies to almost everything, okay? For example, just now I say, for example, a cup. When I say cup, what appears in your mind? A cup, right? The image of a cup. So, what do you use the cup for? For drinking. Maybe one day, you accidentally broke the handle of your cup. Okay? And then this cup you have is a big cup, okay? And then you think, okay, never mind, it's okay. The handle is broken, but it's a nice cup. I shall use it as a bowl, okay? I shall use it to eat rice, okay? Then, after some time, you will not call this a cup. You will call it a bowl. Why? Why you call it a bowl? Because you use it differently. Instead of using it to drink, you use it for your rice, you call it a bowl. You see, when we change the function, change the usage of this thing, we change the name, we change the label for this object. Do you see this? Do you see this? So does cup really exist? It does not really exist. It exists depending on how we use it. Yes. 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 Yeah, that's right. Yes. That means because things exist dependent on conditions, that's why there is no self, which is today's talk. So I'm trying to illustrate to you all what is non-self. So non-self does not mean that things do not exist. This is very important. It does not mean that things do not exist. It's very good. It exists only based on conditions. So there is no real existence. It exists dependent on conditions. That's why it is non-self. Do you understand? Okay. Now, so can you tell me something? Can you name me something that exists by itself? That exists by itself, independence of any other thing, by itself and unchanging. Can you name me a thing in this world? Emptiness. That is the truth. Yeah, okay. Now, so actually everything that we can think of, that we come across, that we can sense, are all, there's no self, no self in everything. In this body and in this mind, in this eye, there's non-self, there's no self, and in the external environments also. Now, for example, you like to eat bread? Young people? Yes, bread? Okay. Do you know how bread is being made? Very good. If flour really exists, it cannot be made into bread. If flour really exists, it will always exist as flour. But why is it that we can change flour into bread? It's because flour, there is non-self in flour. That's why we can change flour into bread. Do you see that? If bread really exists, then bread, what happens when we eat bread? What happens? Very good. It gets digested and it becomes part of us. Am I right or not? It becomes you. The bread that you eat becomes you. Am I right or not? It becomes part of us. So if bread really exists, can this bread become part of us? Can this bread become digested? No. It will always exist as bread. Do you understand what I mean? So is there a self in bread? No. There's no self. But does bread exist? Yes. It exists, depends on condition. Very good. So now you understand the concept of non-self? That means things exist dependent on conditions. There is no inherent existence in itself. No inherent existence in itself. Its existence is dependent on conditions. For example, the trees. Why we have this tree? Because it comes from a seed, and then we plant it in the soil, we give it water, we give it sunlight. Now it has grown into a tree. For this tree to continue to exist, it needs conditions also. We still need to continue to give it sunlight. We still to continue to give it water. If lack of one condition only, the tree will stop to exist. Okay? So if you give it a lot of sunlight but without water, the tree will stop existing. So same for everything. Okay? Even, like this cup, it seems like it is unchanging. Am I right or not? Last week, you see this cup being used to offer water to the speaker. Okay, 2 weeks ago, you see this cup being used also. Is it the same cup? Is it the same cup as this cup now and the last week cup? Is it the same cup? Is it the same cup? Same cup? Who say it's the same? Please put out your hand. If you all learn physics, you will know that, or chemistry, okay? You will know that it's not the same cup. Every moment is a different cup because it is made up of atoms. And the atoms are in vibration, okay? It's actually, you see that there's no movement, but actually it is in constant vibration. The elements is in constant vibration. Do you learn this? Yes, right. So this is the same cup. It's not the same cup. But when we see it, we always think that it's the same. But it's not the same. And every moment is not the same. Even this building, every week you come. Is it the same building? Not the same. There is wear and tear. It's just that, it is, we can't see with our human eyes, the slight difference. Okay, but over a few years, then you can see, this building is getting old. The paint is, has faded and things like that. But actually, change is constantly taking place. Change does not take place only a few years later. Change is constantly taking place. So there is no self in this cup. There's no self in this building. And there's no self in everything that we see in this world. This earth that we are living, this earth, it is like unmoved, right? But actually it is constantly moving. You all know, right? This earth is not still, it's constantly moving. And in our solar system, the planets are constantly moving and evolving, in cycles. So there's non-self in everything. Now you understand? Okay. What is the benefits of understanding non-self? First, when we understand non-self, we will become more open. We will become more spacious in us. We will become more relaxed and more at ease. Why? Because why we suffer is because we cling to a self. That's why we suffer. Now, do you know the Four Noble Truths, the teaching of Four Noble Truths? Do you know the teachings of Four Noble Truths? In the first Noble Truth, the Buddha said that there is suffering, correct? And the Buddha defines what is suffering. First, birth is suffering, aging is suffering, sickness is suffering, death is suffering, not getting what one wants is suffering, being separated from, our beloved is suffering, being associated with the unloved is suffering. And the Buddha said, in summary, the attachment to the 5 aggregates is suffering. Now, so these 5 aggregates, just now I mentioned to you. So the Buddha said, when we attach to these 5 aggregates, there is suffering. What does it mean by attaching to these 5 aggregates? That means when we attach to these 5 aggregates, thinking that there is an I, there will be suffering. Like, we think that there is this I. Although this I is made up of 5 aggregates, but we think that there's this I. When we think that there is this I, there will be suffering. Whereas the Buddha and the Arahants, the enlightened beings, They already see that there is no I. Let me ask you, does the Buddha has the 5 aggregates? Yes, very good. The Buddha has 5 aggregates. Does the Arahants has 5 aggregates? Yes. Do they suffer? Do they suffer? Yes. The Buddha suffers? No. Why is it that the Buddha does not suffer? Because the Buddha and the Arahants, they don't grasp to these 5 aggregates, thinking that there is an I in the 5 aggregates. The Buddha and the Arahants do not grasp to the 5 aggregates in this way. Whereas for us, we grasp to these 5 aggregates, thinking that there is an I, there's a mind, there's a myself. That's why we suffer. Now, do you see that? Do you see why we suffer? We suffer because these 5 aggregates, we think that there is an I in it. And this is my 5 aggregates, and this is myself. We grasp to these 5 aggregates, thinking in this way. But the Buddha and the Arahants, they have 5 aggregates. But they don't cling to these 5 aggregates, thinking in that way. That these 5 aggregates, there's an I, that this is I am, this is myself, this is mine. Do you understand? So that's why for the Buddha and the Arahants, they don't have mental suffering. They do experience physical suffering when the Buddha grew old. He has backache. He suffered severe backache, and when he was going to die, okay, the Buddha also experienced sharp pain from diarrhea, okay, and sickness, okay. But that is physical suffering. But the Buddha does not have mental suffering because he does not grasp to these 5 aggregates, thinking that there's an I, and that this is I am, and this is myself, okay. So that's why the Buddha said that, in summary, when a person grasps to these 5 aggregates with attachment, then there's suffering, okay? So when we understand, so that's why, why is it that, sometimes when your friend maybe just make a very casual comment and say that, oh, you seem to have put on some weight, huh? Maybe you are sensitive. You're sensitive to, being fat, okay? So when your friend just give this a very trivial comment, and then you feel angry. You say, where God? Why you say that, I seem to put on some weight? Why is it that you feel angry? Why do you feel that? Why do you feel unhappy? Because of I, the sense of I. Because you want to look slim and beautiful, because you attach slim to beautiful, okay? So if you grow fat, you think that is not nice. So when your friend said, you seem to have put on some weight, you're very sensitive because this is what you don't want. But your friend commented this. So you see, we attach to this body thinking that there's an I. So there is unhappiness. Am I right? Not. And if let's say, okay, your friends, they were talking, and then you say, your friends, they seem to be having a nice time talking among themselves. Then when you go and join them, then they start to be quiet. And then, they just end their conversation, and then they just go away and do their things. And then you think, why? They don't like me. At first, I thought they are, having a very nice conversation. Why is it that when I join them, then they suddenly stop talking and then they just walk away? Is it that they don't like me? Why you have this feeling? Because of this sense of I. We want ourselves to be liked by other people. So when we perceive that, in order to be liked by other people, people will like to talk to you, people will react to you in this way, then it's called like. So when you join them and then your friend stop talking and they walk away, then to you is, oh, then they don't like me, okay? So we become unhappy. So we become unhappy is because of our sense of I. Do you understand what I mean? So it is because we grasp to this I. We grasp to this body and mind thinking that there is an I. That's why we will be unhappy. That's why we will think that there's this I that wants happiness. That's why there's this I that does not like suffering. There's this I that needs to be loved. There's this I that needs to be cared for. There's this I that needs to be understood. There's this I that needs to be accepted by other people. Okay? But when you know that there is no such I, there's no I in the first place, will you feel sad in the first place? Will you feel sad if there's no I? If people say that, hey, why you, why you are so slow, okay, in getting these things done? If there's no I in you, you will think that, oh really? I'm slow? It's okay. Then I shall, you can reflect and, okay, I shall work faster maybe. Or you will think, maybe you don't know, I've already gotten this done quite some time ago, okay? Yeah, if there's no I in you, you will not get angry because there's no this I that you feel that there's a need to protect or to defend because there's no I in the first place. So when we understand that there's no self, there will be liberation in us. There will really be liberation in us. How people think of us actually does not matter so much. If people think of us as very good, it does not make us very good. If people think of us as very bad, it also does not make us very bad. You will know that it is, how people think of us, what people say of us, does not make us more than what we are or less than what we are. So, understanding non-self. When we understand non-self, we will be free from suffering. Okay? Yeah. Now, so when you understand non-self, when your friends are more popular among, your group of friends, you can be happy for them. Because we know that everyone wishes happiness. As much as we are, we like to be liked by others. We like to be popular. Are your friends is more popular? Oh, very happy for your friend. It's okay. Yeah. So, that's the, okay. So the first benefits of knowing non-self is that we will not suffer. Because when we know that there's no self, we will not grasp to this self. And actually, when we don't know that there is no self, not only do we grasp to this I, we also grasp to everything that we think belong to I. From our family members to our possessions. Not only do we grasp to ourselves, we also grasp to our family members, we also grasp to our possessions. You grasp to your boyfriend. Oh, this is my boyfriend. Okay? Not mine, it's her boyfriend. Okay? And then you will say, oh, why, Oh, you saw your boyfriend talking to another girl. Okay? After some time, still talking. So much to say, After some time, still talking. What are they talking about? Why so much things to say? With me, he also did not say so much. How come with this lady, so much to say? Okay. You think that this is my boyfriend. Why my boyfriend has so much to talk to another girl? If it is not your boyfriend, if it is just a friend, oh, you're just saying, oh, yeah, they talk. Oh, they have a lot of things to talk. Now you see them talking. Afterwards, after your lunch, you see them talking. Oh, yes, they have a lot to talk. It does not matter to you. But if it is your boyfriend, it is different. Now you see them talking. You want to go for lunch? You ask your boyfriend said later, you go for lunch first. When you go for lunch, after you come back for lunch, still talking. You ask, why are you still talking? Why so much to talk? It's different. Because why? You identify this guy as your boyfriend. Your boyfriend cannot. Other people's boyfriend, never mind. So long as it is not my boyfriend, then okay. So you see, there is suffering when we grasp to this I. When we grasp to this I, when we identify with this body and mind as these 5 aggregates and I, we will definitely identify all the things that belong to these 5 aggregates as mine. This is my boyfriend. Okay. This is my thing. Okay. This is my money. Okay. Now, how suffering? Suffering or not? When we don't know the truth of non-self, there is a lot of suffering. And that's why, to have the right view about things is very important. Since young, we have been conditioned in this way. What is your name? What is your name? Tanya. Tanya. If from young people ask you, 你叫什么名字? Then you will say, my name is Tanya, okay? And then we are taught how to write our names, correct not? So from young, we are conditioned to think that this is me. I am so and so. Am I right not? Oh, from young, I must do well for my exams. I must study. I must do well for the PSLE. I must do well for the O-levels. I must do well for A-levels. I must try to go to university. After university, I must try to get a good job. After getting a good job, it's now the time that I should look for a partner. Then I can settle down in life, get married. Then I can have a few children. All is about I. The way that we are being brought up is all about I. Do you see that? It's nobody's fault. It's because of ignorance of the truth that there is no self. So our life is all centered around this I. Do you see that? But because of this grasping to I, there's a lot of suffering. Can you remember how much you suffer when you have to study for exams? From young till now, when it comes to exams, of course now, you are very clever because you have the Dharma. So exams, no problem. Because you have the right attitude, you don't grasp so much. You know how to manage your time. Exams, no problem. But for people who don't have the Dharma, especially if they do not have a flair in studies and they're being pushed by their parents, study, you must study hard. They will think, you are so suffering. Okay? Now, so every stage of our life, why is it that we suffer? It's because of this I. Now, when we know that actually there's no inherently, independently existing self in us, it is very liberating. Okay? So that's why having the right view is important. Because our view will condition the way we see things. And our view will condition the way we behave. That's why you see the people, okay, in our society, because of the strong sense of I, they suffer a lot. When they don't get the promotion that they want, when they don't get what they want, they suffer a lot. And in order to get what they want, sometimes they do unwholesome actions like backstabbing people, like slandering and things like that. Okay? Yeah. So, that's why having the right view is very important. So now we have the understanding of this truth, non-self, this right view. Then it is very liberating. This non-self is not to be developed. It is there. It is here, right here and now. It's only whether we realize it. When we don't realize it, we suffer. When people say, hey, why you this kind of hairstyle? Like not very nicely. Then you will think, where got not nice? I think very nice. But if you understand non-self, you think, oh, it's okay. Maybe you think it's not nice, but I think it's very nice. You're not affected. You're not affected by what other people say. So non-self is right here and now. When we don't realize non-self, we'll cling to this I, and this I is easily hurt. And this I suffers. Whenever it meets with unpleasant things, this I suffer. But when we understand non-self, immediately it is liberating. Oh, you can say what you like, but it's okay. Anyway, there is no real essence of I. You get what I mean? So it is very important that we recognize that there is non-self. We recognize that there is this truth of non-self. Just like if we have a diamond in our pocket, but we don't know. We don't know that we have a diamond. And then you think, I'm very poor. I don't have money. I don't have cash. But then your friend told you, but what is it that is, sticking out of your pocket? What is it? Then you say, there's a stone. No, it's not a stone. It's a diamond. When you recognize it, isn't it that immediately you become so wealthy? Immediately. So it's recognizing that when you recognize that you have a diamond, immediately you become so wealthy. But when you don't recognize it, you will think that you're so poor. Likewise, when we recognize that there's actually non-self, it's so liberating. But when we don't recognize, it is so imprisoned. Oh no. Today is Saturday, very good. But tomorrow, very good. Sunday, very good. Saturday, very good. Friday evening, very good. Because there have a few days of free days. Then Sunday night, you think, not good. Tomorrow is Monday morning. And it's so imprisoned when you go to work. Oh, this person I don't like. Oh, that person I also don't like. And you feel that there is no way to escape. But when you understand non-self, it is different. You can think that it's okay. They are them. I don't need to don't like. I don't need to dislike other people. You see? So when we recognize non-self, it can be so liberating. Okay? Now, the second benefits of understanding non-self is we will understand that this is a very important one. We will understand that the source of creation is within us. We can create because of non-self. That's why we can create. What does it mean? If there is a self, if there is Tanya, truly existing Tanya, Tanya will always exist as Tanya. She will never become a Buddha because she exists very solidly as Tanya. Am I right or not? But there is no real self in Tanya. So Tanya can become a Buddha. Do you agree with me? Just like what I say, if bread really exists, bread cannot become part of us. It cannot be digested and become part of us. But bread does not really exist. Likewise for Tanya. Tanya also does not really exist. Okay? She exists dependent on the 5 aggregates. Okay? And because there is no it is not fixed, that's why Tanya can become a Buddha. And it is the same for all of us. All of us can become Buddhas. Why do I say that the source of creation is within us? That means we can create. We can, if we want to be good, we can become very good. Oh, I shall speak politely. I shall be kind. I shall be patient. I shall be understanding. I shall be compassionate. I shall be filial. Okay? We can create. If there is a self, the qualities that you have now is fixed. Oh, now I'm like that. I will always be like that. Correct? Not. But no, when you understand it's non-self, these moments you may feel a little bit sad. But you understand non-self. I can create. I can be joyful. I can be happy. Can you? Can. It's a choice. When we recognize that it is a choice, isn't it that the source of creation is already in us? We already have the power to create. When we don't recognize it, we will think that fate is fated. But when you recognize, when you understand that the source of creation is within us, we can create ourselves to be the kind of person that we want. Now you are feeling, a little unhappy. But you tell yourself, it's okay, I can create. You can be happy the next moment. Why? Because of non-self. Isn't it beautiful? Non-self is so beautiful. That is the truth, okay? And actually, in all of us, there is this Buddha nature. There is this unlimited potential in us. All of us. It's just that we do not recognize it. When we do not recognize it, we are very ordinary. Just a very ordinary person, leading a very ordinary life. But because of the wonderful Dharma that the Buddha has preached, now we realize, we can be so extraordinary. We can be a Buddha. That's why the Buddha never said that he is the greatest. The Buddha said that all of us, we can be Buddhas. I can be a Buddha. You all can be a Buddha. You all can be a Buddha. The animals can be a Buddha. The hungry ghosts can be a Buddha. All the hell beings can be the Buddha. When they have finished suffering, when they have exhausted their karma in the hell, they can be Buddhas. So what does it take? It takes recognition. When you recognize that you have this gem in you, we have this Buddha nature in us. When we recognize it, we immediately are so wealthy. Do you understand? Okay? So, this is very wonderful, okay? How to realize? So, of course, when we truly... Now do you understand non-self? Do you understand? Now, your understanding of non-self is intellectual. But it's still better than you don't know. Now your understanding of non-self is theoretical. When you truly perceive non-self, when you truly see the truth non-self, you are enlightened. That is the third benefit of understanding non-self. When you truly perceive, when you truly realize non-self, you are enlightened. And we are free from all aspects of suffering. Okay. Now, how to realize non-self? This is very important. How to realize? Now you know what is non-self. And you know what are the benefits of non-self. You know the benefits. Now, how to realize? First is you must listen to the Dharma. That's why you know now, because of listening to the Dharma, you recognize non-self. And you recognize that all of us have the Buddha nature. So first is you have to listen to the Dharma. But although listening to the Dharma, you get some idea, you know non-self theoretically. But maybe, when you go home, on the way back, when you took the MRT, okay, somebody accidentally stepped on you. And you think, why are you so clumsy? Why you step on me? It's very painful, no? When we react in this way, is there a self? When we are unhappy, when we reacted with anger, it's because there is a grasping to the self. We don't like this painful feeling. That's why. Why we don't like? Because we grasp to an I. And this I wants to be happy. So although we know non-self, but we still grasp to the self, correct not? So by listening to the Dharma is still not enough. By listening to the Dharma, theoretically we know. So we must further try to realize non-self. So the second way is we must contemplate. Listening to Dharma, besides listening, we must contemplate. Otherwise, we will forget about this truth. When you go home, you see your sister using your cup. You think, why you like to use my thing? Don't you have your own cup? Why you want to use my cup? We don't like people to use our things. Why? Because we are attached to this I. And we identify with this cup as mine. And then when you go to your room, you become unhappy again. Somebody has come into my room and touched my things. And then you ask, who went to my room? Why? Why you have to touch my things on my table? And then your mother will say, oh yes, it's me. Yeah, so what's the big deal? I went to your room. I cleaned your study table. So what's so great? But you don't like. You think, why? Why must you touch my things? We identify not only with this I, we identify with our things and we get very angry when people touch our things. Why you touch my things? The strong sense of I is there. You see that? Now, so knowing non-self is not good enough. Knowing non-self, yes, it will make us let go of our suffering at that moment. But our habits are very strong. Because our habits is we grasp to an I. That is a very strong habit in us. So that's why the second way to realize non-self is we have to continuously to contemplate on the truth. We have to continuously to contemplate on the Dharma that we have heard. Contemplate on non-self. How to contemplate? Whenever you are unhappy, whenever you suffer, whenever you are upset, whenever you are angry, please contemplate. Why am I upset? Why am I angry? Why am I unhappy? Why? Because she long. Why she like to say this kind of nonsense? She purposely want. Then all the more you are more upset. She know that I don't like this, so she purposely do it. All the more you are upset, correct or not? So how? How do we contemplate? That is not called contemplating. Contemplating is we contemplate in terms of the Dharma. Why am I upset? Yes, she may do such a thing. But if I don't have anger, I will not be angry. I have anger. That's why I am angry. If I don't have anger, whoever does anything to me, it's no problem. Because there's no anger in us. Correct or not? So we are upset, we are angry, we are upset. It's still because we have anger, we have hatred in us. So we contemplate. Oh, so I still have anger. And why am I angry? Because I have this eye. Because I grasp to this eye, that's why I have likes and dislikes. If you don't have eye, if we don't have a sense of eye, we will not have likes and dislikes. We will have likes and dislikes because we have a sense of eye. Oh, I like this kind of person. I like this kind of person to be my friend. Oh, I don't like this kind of person. I don't want this person as my friend. Even if this person likes you a lot, I want to be your friend. But I think I don't want, because I don't like this kind of person. Why we have likes and dislikes? Because we have this sense of I. Do you see that? So in our daily life, we all must remember, whenever we are unhappy, whenever we are upset, whenever we are angry, contemplate. I'm grasping to an I. That's why I'm so angry. And my grasping to this self is very strong. That's why I can be angry for a few days. Strong I. Not only a few days. Some people, a few years. Some people, the whole lifetime. How poor thing. Am I right not? Yes. So, the second way that we have to realize, for us to realize non-self is, we have to contemplate. Okay? And then the third way, we have to practice. How we practice? That is the formal and the informal way of practice. The formal way of practice is we all have to meditate. Meditation is very essential if we want to bring about a real transformation in us. Meditation is very necessary. Because we need, in order to transform us, we need to quieten our mind. Then we will be able to see, ourselves clearly. Otherwise, we will not be able to see ourselves. And we will still think that, oh no, I don't have anger. Oh no, I don't have hatred. Oh no, I don't have greed. Oh no, I don't have jealousy. We have, just that we don't see. But when we meditate, we are looking inward. And it is very good when we see ourselves as who we are. When we see ourselves as who we are, only then we will improve. So meditation is very necessary if we want to bring about a real transformation within us. So that is the formal practice, that's meditation. The informal one will be in our daily life. Each time you see the I in you, each time you have to let go. Each time you see the I in you, oh, you're getting angry. Oh, you have a very strong sense of dislike towards how things are being done. Now, this I, you have to let go. So, that is the practice. Okay? Each time you see the I, each time you let go. Understand? So, how to realize non-self is first by listening to the Dharma, second by contemplating on what you have listened, contemplating on Dharma, third is by practicing. You really practice. The formal way, meditation, the informal way in our daily life. Each time when you see how we grasp to this sense of I, that's why we suffer, each time we let go. Understand? Okay? Now, another way for us to help us to realize non-self, a very effective way is to understand that, actually, our whole life, our whole existence is just like a dream. Have you dreamed? Have you dreamt before? Yes, right, all of us have dreams. Have you ever had such a dream whereby you dream of your loved ones pass away? Have you ever dreamt of your loved one pass away? How do you feel in your dream? When you dream of your loved one pass away, how do you feel? How do you feel? Very sad. Why? Because it's our loved one. And we cry in our dream, correct not? Because in a dream, we think that our loved one really passed away. And we feel sad. And we really cry in our dream. But when you wake up from your dream, you realize that, oh, it's only a dream. Then how do you feel? Is there any more sadness? No sadness. Oh, your loved one is still alive. Your loved one did not pass away. No sadness. So, if we understand that our life, our existence is just like a dream, whatever sufferings that you experience, if you understand that, actually this is a dream, no? This is not very real, no? Will you suffer so much? Will you suffer so much? No. Let's say you lose a job. If we don't know Dharma, losing a job is like your world is collapsed. Anxiety, worries. When will I get my next job? But when we know non-self, when we know the Dharma, it's okay. Never mind. It's just like a dream. This life is only one of the many lives in our many lives of our numerous multitude of cycles of birth and death. This is only one of the lifetimes. So it does not affect you so much. So another way that I think is very effective to help us understand non-self is to understand that it is a dream. I remember that I ever had a dream. I dreamt that I was being chased by someone. So in my dream, I ran, okay? And there was fear and anxiety in me because I'm trying to run away from this person who was chasing me. But in my dream, I can still remember clearly that in my dream, I happened to remember that it's a dream. So I told myself, it actually is a dream, no? So I just think that the person is not chasing me. So in my dream, I really changed the thoughts. Oh, I'm not being chased by that someone. Let's try. I chase him back. So, you see, then I woke up from my dream. Then I realized that, actually, it is so good. When we are dreaming, when we know that we are dreaming, we will not suffer. Correct not? Likewise, in this life, when we know that this life is not, there is non-self in this life, we come to this life, this existence, because of karma, because of grasping, because of greed. There's no real existence. We are just a traveler to this existence. We will leave this existence. When you understand in this way, you are not grubs. Okay? So by understanding that our life, our existence is just like a dream, it's a very effective way to help us understand non-self. Okay? Now, to conclude, understanding of non-self is very beneficial. Non-self does not mean that things do not exist. It means that there is no real existence. The existence is dependent on conditions. Okay? So, non-self, this non-self is not pessimistic. It's not that, 就空咯，空了就无，就是空咯， then 什么都是空咯， everything is empty. You don't need to go and look for a job. You don't need to do well for your exams. It seems very pessimistic. Some people criticize Buddhism as being pessimistic. 你们都说嘛，什么都是空的嘛，四大皆空嘛。No, actually, this non-self, when we understand, when we have the right view of non-self, it is so positive. It is so proactive. Because there is non-self, there is room for creativity. We can create the I that I want to be. We can even create ourselves to be a Buddha. That's why this human birth is so precious. We can be a Buddha. Okay? So, because there's non-self, that's why there's room for creativity. Because there's non-self, there's room for change. Because there's non-self, there's room for transcendence. Because there's non-self, we can be happy. Because of non-self, we can be joyful. Because there's non-self, we can be successful. Because of non-self, all of us, we can be Buddhas. Understand? So beautiful. And what we need is just the recognition. The recognition to recognize that actually we are Buddhas ourselves. We are limited by our own thinking. That, I have this anger, I have this hatred, I have this jealousy, I have this greed, I have this. But actually, although we have this, but these are all temporary. These are also non-self. We have the Buddha nature. And all of us can become Buddhas. Okay? So wonderful. This non-self. Okay. Any questions? Okay. Yes.
First of all, thank you for the wonderful sharing, and I'm just sorry. I'm just curious. Then, how do we explain innate talent? Innate talent, like sometimes, for example, there are two people who work hard for exams the same amount, but then the other person has better results. Something like that. Then usually people perceive that as, that people maybe have talent for studying.
Yes. Why is it that we have innate talents?
Yes.
It's because of what we have accumulated from our past lives. That's why some people, from young, they can already play the piano very well. Okay? Some people from young, they have very good memory. They can recite the poetries. Some people from young, they are very good in maths. Why? Because in their past life, they are already mathematicians. Okay? Or in a past life, this child who can recite the poetries, in a past life, he has already memorized these poetries before in his past life. So what the innate, innate talents do not arise just by chance. It is something that we develop in us. It has been developed in us from the past. Okay? It does not happen just by chance. Okay? That's why, some people, why they have a certain flair for, cooking. Some, they have the talents for music. Some, they have the talents for dancing. You ask me to dance, I will be so clumsy. But some people, they can just dance. Their body is so flexible. Why? It's all because of past. Okay? So all these because this is not our first lifetime. We have many previous lifetimes. And from the previous lifetimes, that's what we have accumulated until this lifetime. That explains why, each one of us, why is it that we are all different? We have different mental faculties, okay? It's because of our own accumulations, our own developments from the past lives. Yeah. Okay, welcome. And let me tell you, so that's why we have to work hard in this life. Why? Because what we accumulate, what we develop in this life will not be lost. It will be brought forward. It is part of us. That's why, some people, from young, they are very spiritual. Some people, they are very ignorant. Some children from young, they will know that, no, I don't want to kill. Even you ask them, go and catch the cockroach and kill the cockroach. You say, no, I don't want. But some children, you don't tell them to kill, they will kill for you. Why? And some children, when they go, even in kindergarten, they know how to steal. They will steal their erasers from their friend. They will steal their stationery from their friend. And then, after they steal, they go and sell. Their mind is already in this kind of negative aspect because of the past conditioning. Okay? Now, there is this is a real life story. There's this elderly lady. She is maybe 60 over years old. She has a daughter who became a nun. Okay? Not my mother. Okay? She has a daughter who became a nun. Before this elderly lady, she all along, she prayed to Guan Yin. She does not know the Dharma. When her daughter became a nun under a meditation master. So after her daughter became a nun, this mother also learned meditation from the meditation teacher. The first time when she sat down to meditate, she went into concentration. After the session, when it is break time, people went for break. She still sat there. When people came back, she still sat there. Then, when it comes to second break, when people went for second break, she still sat there, unmoved, totally serene, totally still. When it comes to lunchtime, people, got her to get out of the meditation. And then she got out of the meditation. And then she said, such a long time has passed. To her, it seems like maybe half an hour. But so many hours have passed. Why? Because she has meditated before in her past life. She has already attained jhana before in her past life. That's why in this life, when she meditated for the first time only, she can went into jhana. To be able to go into jhana, meditation concentration is not so easy. We experience ourselves when we sit and meditate. Many thoughts, right? Sometimes you feel that, oh, very good, no thoughts left. But it is not always like that, okay? So this is a real life story, and I happen to know this old lady, and she shared this with me. And she told me that, Shifu, I don't know the teachings, but the first time when I sat down to meditate only, I went into meditation concentration. That is why I want to share with you all, we must make good use of this human life to practice the Dharma. Because whatever that we practice, whatever that we developed, it will not be lost. The mind that we developed, the kindness of our mind, the kindness that we develop in our mind, the wisdom and all the qualities that we develop in mind will still be with us. But if we don't develop it, we don't think that, oh, when I died in this life and when I get a new birth, I will be a different person. How different can we be when we don't, when we don't develop the qualities? Just like if tonight we go and sleep and you think, tomorrow I will wake up being more clever, more beautiful, more successful. Do you think it will happen? No, we must put in an effort. Tonight when you sleep, maybe, okay, you soften your mind, you let go of your anger. Tomorrow you wake up more beautiful because you let go of your anger. Anger is the cause of ugliness. So when you don't get angry so easily, like all of you here, you all look beautiful. Why? You all have patience. So, but if you're angry, you just think, when you're angry, you go and look into your mirror. You look not nice. Every night when you go and sleep, you think, you let go of your anger, and you think you have the loving kindness in you. Okay, you have the love in you, and then, you make aspiration. Tomorrow, you'll wake up a better person. Am I not? So if we want to have a better rebirth, we must develop our mind now. We cannot just expect that when we change our body, then we will be a different person. What we develop in our mind, it will follow us, okay? Okay, yes. What is the question? Yeah.
So while you're sharing, I was just thinking of a lot of questions.
Yes.
I think this concept of non-self leads to like you shared, an acceptance of nothingness.
Yeah.
And I'm just wondering how this affects how we define moral good and bad.
For non-self, moral good and bad.
Yeah, like how it affects our definition of what's good and bad, and is there a framework for us then to have?
I think it's a very good question. If there's non-self, do we need to be concerned about being morally good? If there's non-self, then it's okay, right? Since there's no self, then can we just do bad? Anyway, there's no self. And right not? Is that what you're trying to ask? Okay, so although there is non-self, that moral good and bad, there is still moral and good and bad because of the nature of the action. And when the action is morally good, we will reap the result of happiness. When the action is morally bad, we will reap the results of suffering. Okay? That is because how to explain this? Okay, maybe I can explain in this way. There are actually two levels of truth. Two levels of truth. There is this conventional truth. Conventional truth is there is an I. And there is this society that we are living in. So there is good and there is bad. But at the level of ultimate level, there is the ultimate truth. The ultimate truth is there is no I. When there is no I, there is no good and no bad. But although now we know that there is non-self, but we still grasp to an I. So we better do good. Because of our grasping, we will still reap the sufferings from our bad actions. Because we have not totally realized non-self. So if we do bad actions, we will reap the consequence of suffering. If we do a good action, you will feel happy. Because the nature of the good action is very good. For example, if let's say you are at this MRT train and then an elderly person stand next to you and then you give your seat to this elderly person. Although nobody praise you, but you will feel happy. Why? Although it's a small action, but it is a wholesome action. It benefits others. You will feel good about yourself. So because we still have this sense of I, that's why there is moral good and moral bad. So what I want to say is there are two levels of truth. When we have yet to realize the ultimate truth of non-self, we still grasp to this I. So at the conventional level, we still have to observe the morality of doing good and abstaining from evil. We still have to observe this morality. Okay? But because we know the Dharma, although we know the Dharma, non-self, so even if we have not realized non-self, just by having the right view of non-self, it is liberating to us. Whenever we face problems, whenever we face difficulties, if you recognize that actually there is no self, then it is already liberating for us. Even if our situation does not change, we do not experience so much suffering. Do you get what I mean? Okay? Yeah. So at the conventional level, we still grasp to this I. So there is still this moral good and moral bad. And we have to follow this morality. But when we have really realized non-self, the ultimate level, actually there's no good and no moral good and no moral bad. Okay? Do you understand? But that is at a very, very high level. When you have realized the truth. Okay? So when we have yet to realize it, we still must follow the morality of what is morally good, what is morally bad. We still have to abide by this. Okay? Yes. Yeah. Yeah. So your question is, when I don't really. What do I mean by everyone can become a Buddha? What is a Buddha? A Buddha is someone who has awakened to the truth. And the Buddha, okay, is someone who has perfected his virtues of loving kindness and compassion. So a Buddha is someone who has perfected love, compassion, and wisdom. Okay, to put it simply. Actually, all these qualities are in us. If we do not have these qualities, we cannot become a Buddha. But because these qualities are in us, that's why we can become a Buddha. You know? So that's why all of us, we have all these qualities in us. All of us will have this Buddha nature in us. That's why we can become a Buddha. So not only us humans, the animals, they also have Buddha nature in them. But because they are suffering, they are negative karma now. So as an animal, their wisdom is being obscured. Okay? Hungry ghosts. When someone is being reborn in the hungry ghost realm, animals, hungry ghosts and hell realms, they cannot practice the Dharma. They suffer. They are suffering their negative karma. Whereas as a human being, okay, we have the freedom to practice the Dharma. Okay? So when I mean that, all of us, we can become a Buddha is because we have this potential in us. The potential in us to become the Buddha. We have this Buddha nature in us. Because we have all these qualities in us. The love, the compassion, the wisdom, they are all in us. It's whether we recognize them. Okay? Yeah. Yes. And Bodhisattva. What is the meaning of Bodhisattva? Bodhi means enlightenment. Sattva means being. A Bodhisattva is someone who wants to attain enlightenment for the benefits of all sentient beings. Okay? So that is a Bodhisattva. Someone who aims to attain enlightenment for the benefits of all sentient beings. So someone who works towards becoming a Buddha, who works towards, okay, for the benefits of all sentient beings, that is called a Bodhisattva. And as a Bodhisattva has to practice concentration too. It does not mean that a Bodhisattva does not need to practice concentration. A Bodhisattva needs to practice concentration too. Okay? So just now you were mentioning that a Bodhisattva Bodhisattva what? Huh? Vow. Oh. Okay. Okay. Yeah. So you are talking about deeper kind of meditation. Yes. So because there are many stages of meditation, so if we want to become a Buddha, okay, as a Bodhisattva practicing to become a Buddha, yes, we don't need to go to the very advanced levels of concentration. No need. But we still need to practice concentration. We still need. It's just that, not those kind of very deep concentration. Because why? concentration, in Buddhism, we do not see concentration as the goal. We see concentration as a tool to develop wisdom, as a tool to develop insights. So a bodhisattva develops concentration is for the purpose of developing insights, to develop wisdom. Okay? So it's not for the purpose of it's not for the purpose of just developing concentration in itself. So that's why a bodhisattva does not need to develop to the very advanced levels of concentration. Okay? No need. But still, concentration is needed because it's one of the factors of the Noble Eightfold Path. Concentration is needed. It's just that, we do not just focus on concentration, but we must have the right view that concentration is still needed, because wisdom can only be developed when there is concentration. Without concentration, no insights can be developed. So we need concentration. Okay, so concentration is still very important. It's just that we don't focus only on the concentration, and we do not take concentration as the goal. We take insight, wisdom as the goal. Okay? Yeah. Understand? Yes, they can. You say when a person has bodhisattva vows, can he realize non-self? Definitely, a person must realize non-self in order to become enlightened, in order to become a Buddha. There is these 6 perfections that a bodhisattva must practice, must develop in order to become a Buddha. The 6 perfections, or we call the 6 paramitas, are: first, giving; second, morality; third, patience; fourth, effort; fifth, concentration; and sixth, wisdom. So a bodhisattva must practice these perfections in order to become a Buddha. So wisdom, definitely we need the wisdom. We must be able to realize non-self in order to become enlightened. Okay? Okay. Yes.
Thank you, Venerable Chun Hui,
Welcome.
for the talk. Can we please say 3 sadhus to thank Venerable for her talk? Sadhu, sadhu.
Okay. Shall we dedicate the merits to all sentient beings? Please clasp your palms. May the merit stars accumulated. Please recite after me. May the merit stars accumulated be dedicated to all sentient beings. May all sentient beings and I together attain Buddhahood. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.